way to Staten Island. Why, you ask? Well, every year on this day, or the few days surrounding prior, I'll get to that in a minute, I take an annual pilgrimage out to a little bar in Staten Island to join and enter a certain Ncaa tournament pool, which my inner circle and I refer to as the Shaolin pool. Shaolin is Staten Island, thanks to an obscure band that hails from said region. Anyway, what goes on out here? So, why am I allowed to go now, considering the tournament started yesterday? Well, they made a rule that you have to have your entries in by 4 p.m. on Friday. So the last few years, I have taken advantage of that rule, and I usually now come Friday afternoons to hand my stuff in as late as possible. So, how does the tournament work? Well, actually, some history. No, how does the tournament work? So, each entry is, you pick 4 Final Four teams, the winner, and the total points in the final. And that's it. And it's $10 an entry. So this pool started out of a little bar called Josie's, like, I want to say late 1970s. So, like, it's essentially as old as I am. And over time it grew and it grew and it grew. And, like, back in college, one of my closest friends and I, like, even entered it through his dad, and, like, his circle of friends were entering it. It, like, made its way through, the tri-state area, to the point where they have tens of thousands, even over 100,000 at one point, entries. So it was at this place called Josie's. I remember my friend Adam and I, I've been coming out here probably at least 10 years in a row now to enter the pool. Once my friend Adam and I came on the Wednesday night before the tournament, and we went to Josie's and actually met Josie's wife, who was outside, and we, like, sat and talked with her for a little bit until she told us some history. Anyway, in 2006, whatever year that George Mason made the Final Four, an 11 seed, which obviously not many of these entries are going to have. However, somebody did, somebody won. At that year, the pot was like 1.5 million, and it's all cash. The bar takes no cut, so one person won it, 1.5 million. And the story is a little sketchy, but I think what happened is he reported it on his taxes. Long story short, the Josie's pool was shut down. Obviously, the resourceful people of Staten Island were not going out that way, so they've just moved it to another bar. I'll leave the names out at this point in case anything incriminating. I don't want to be the one that brings it down this time around. But they just moved it to another bar, and the tournament lives on. I think after that backlash, it lost a little luster. Where I think the last couple of years, the pot was only around 500,000, not over $1 million. So this bar, it's very, very, very Staten Island-esque, like everything about it. And essentially, I walk into this random bar in the middle of Staten Island, hand some Staten Island dude a pile of cash, and just, like, assume that things will work out. So it's a hell of a scene. And the most intriguing thing to me about it is, obviously I want to win for the obvious reasons, but I want to win just to know what goes on with the transfer of funds from this bar run by these Staten Island dudes, and they are so Staten Island, how they hand me this briefcase, duffel bag, a key to a safety deposit box. I don't really know. I'm so curious as to how that goes down, and if it does go down, how do I handle it? Because, like, there's the obvious, who's waiting outside. Like, people know that this is a very, very popular tournament pool. There are tens of thousands of people involved. So, like, people might be onto, oh, this is when the cash gets delivered. We're going to wait outside. We're going to follow this person. We're going to look at their license plate. We're going to go to their home. Who the hell knows? Like, do I have multiple cars come with me to pick up the goods and split it up? Do I have a security team? But do I trust the security team to give them the information that I'm going to be walking out with $500,000 in cash? So that intrigues the hell out of me. I don't know much about college basketball. I'm an NBA guy over a college guy. So, you shoot in the dark a little bit. But obviously there aren't that many teams that have a realistic chance of winning the big dance. So, like, strategy-wise, the way that I always approach it is you have to take a stand somewhere along the line, right? So if I used to really be into it and do 100 entries and be like, all right, I'm going all. I remember one year, like, Pittsburgh was a number 1 or 2 seed, and I was super high on them, and I was like, 95 of my 100 entries are going to have Pitt. I just think you have to take a stand, otherwise you just drive yourself crazy, like every possible option all over the place, which is why I think brackets, I dumped brackets a long time ago. That's another story. But so this year I'm down to 25 entries, and the way I did it is just like 2 teams from each of the 4. So I have 8 teams total, and I made combos of 4 based on that. And most likely because there's such volume in this pool, you're gonna tie, or the score is going to be the tiebreaker. So the way that they deal with that is very interesting, and this happened to me once because I had the Final Four right one year, so I got to attend what is called, and I'm actually pulling up to the place now. I just gotta find some parking. One thing about this, actually, this place never ever answers their phone. So every year I pull up and take this ride, not actually knowing if they're still doing the tournament. So it's possible that I walk into this place right now and they're like, oh, sorry, we're not doing it this year, dude. We got caught. We're in trouble or something. Almost just ran a guy over with all this excitement in the air. So that is possible. Anyway, all right. So the year of Michigan State, North Carolina. Can't find a spot anywhere. I picked the Final Four right, and I had Michigan State winning. They made the finals. So the way that I gotta turn around and go back to the main road here. The way that they handle this is, so there were a lot of people that had the Final Four, although not it wasn't incredibly chalky. I think there was a 3 seed, a 2 seed, something like that. So a number of people had the Final Four, but then a bunch of those people are knocked out because only 2 teams advance, in this case Carolina and Michigan State, to the finals. So the Final Four is always on a Saturday, the finals are always on a Monday. That Sunday in between is called Deal Day. And what Deal Day is anyone who's still alive. So in this year, that year, I showed up back to this bar on Deal Day. So I had Michigan State and let's say 141 for the total points, where there are probably 100 other people that are still alive. Someone had North Carolina 152, someone had North Carolina 155, North Carolina 157, 161, Michigan State 132. So you have all these different people with all these different entries that are still alive. Whoever wants to make a deal shows up on Deal Day, and you come back to this bar and you negotiate and make a deal with other people who are still alive. So I had a deal and I remember this so well, with some dude named Dominic Stella, who I don't remember if he had Carolina. I think he had Carolina, and I don't remember the plan. I remember the deal, but if he came in and won it, I would get 10 or 20% of his cut, and vice versa. If I won it, he would get a cut of mine. And we wrote this agreement on this little piece of paper, and I still have it somewhere, I think. Maybe it didn't make it with me in this latest move of apartments, but it said I, Dominic Stella, agreed to give Chris Heller, blah blah blah. Some people come to Deal Day with official contracts, legal shit already written out to make it more official. Anyway, that's the nuts and bolts of the Shaolin pool. So I'm about to walk into this place, fill out my forms, hand some dudes some cash, and hope for the best. and we'll see what happens. Good luck with your March Madness.